I guess that we can start. Everyone ready?
Yay.
Okay. So, first of all, let me welcome everyone who joined us today. And we are so grateful to all of you for dedicating your time. The reason why we basically decided to have this event for our customers was that actually we wanted to share our reflections for 2020 and to outline what's new and how we foresee the impact and the future of what happened in 2020 and what are the new things that we can help us find a way forward. So let us start by really sharing our reflections on the past year. As you all know, we cannot miss the fact that actually it was very hard to prognosticate that we will face the COVID situation, and whatever we had in mind and whatever we thought about risk management in business, a black swan turned out to be always unexpected. And just like the Corona splash in water, the Corona splash had a very large and widespread impact on the business. And we as a company had faced a lot of customer businesses freezing and a lot of projects of ours freezing because of the pandemic situation. However, it was not all that bad. So we actually try to see the COVID situation as an opportunity. And similar to many restaurants and bars that use the chance to get close for renovation, we tried to look at the lockdown or the slowdown of the business as a chance, and to talk to customers that are also looking at what happened as a chance to do innovations. And also we try to talk to customers that are actually figuring out the importance of e-commerce and how popular it became during the first lockdown, and perhaps it's getting very popular again now. So we actually had customers that wanted us to work on non-commerce projects. So this is e-commerce, e-shops development, on integration of their existing e-shops, because obviously the turnover and number of orders increased significantly, so smooth integration became crucial. And then also we had customers approaching us with projects for mobile apps for their own customers, so that they can work online with their customers better than before. So this gave us some good projects to work on, basically. But also it was not, let's say, enough for us to adapt, because COVID was also a game changer for us in the past year. We started doing all the things online, but the issue there is that actually it is quite of a different story to sell business software online in a way which is less intense in terms of human interaction. We are used to asking the customers about their processes, about their needs, understanding what the background is, what's the context, etc., etc. And obviously, when we are online, it is at least a bit harder to be so personalized and so intense in terms of human interaction. So we had to find different ways or different models of offering products and services. And there are two things that are important to mention: that actually selling online or approaching customers online, we had to interact and to have smaller interactions and to propose ready products or preset products out of the box, and also to propose package services rather than boutique project plans and approaches and methodology for projects. And actually, what one of my colleagues will be talking about later on is something which is a very good example of a preset product out of the box, because we will be looking actually at predefined Power BI dashboards. But of course, for all of you, I guess, a question comes about the investment in times of hardship, because we talk that, okay, the situation could be seen as an opportunity. We can use the slowdown of the business to carry out strategic projects, to implement new solutions, and so on and so forth. But how about investment? And there is a very good answer coming from Microsoft in the last years, because even if you may not or you may not want to bear a large investment in such a period, if it goes drop by drop in small steps, it definitely looks more affordable. And this is a way to remind that actually most of the Microsoft contemporary products are also available on subscription basis. So subscription can kind of reduce the financial burden of a large investment if you want to use the time for carrying out an innovation project, but you face cash flow difficulties to finance a large investment upfront in terms of purchasing licenses, purchasing hardware, etc. Also, what we think is that COVID is a kind of dam wall. And what we mean is that actually it put some kind of break or some kind of wall on the flow of the business. So we are expecting, and we saw it when the first lockdown was released in Bulgaria, that actually at some point a very intense move of the business will start. And the real question to ask ourselves until going there is how we should be better prepared. And in reality, when this happens, the businesses will be in a position to address these new appearing markets and to even take shares that were taken by someone else before. And the idea here is that we believe that it is important to get yourself prepared for this moment, because one day or another, this whole story will end, and all the accumulated, let's say, potential of the market will get unfreezed and will need to be addressed. And guess what? Not the biggest ones, but the most adaptable will survive. And being adaptable means, first of all, in order not to get there, to keep in step with the novelties. And that is why today we decided to update you guys on the novelties. And we had an agenda that will cover a few important things happening around the core Microsoft products, and also a few other tools and options for enhancing the classical ERPs in order to adapt better to what's happening in real life right now. So we'll be talking first about the conception of extension as a new way to carry out customizations in the ERP systems. We'll talk about a pre-built Power BIs, and this will be covered by Sami, and we will also talk about the creation of B2B and B2C business through e-commerce solutions integrated ERP systems of Microsoft. And in this journey, we will have with us Samuil Nedelchev, known as Sammy, who's quite experienced with a lot of, I would say, background of projects carried out since the very beginning of our company. And he will be covering today the Power BI dashboards. And also we will have Danny with us, who spent some time working as our own digital marketing manager. And since 2018, he's part of our delivery team, delivering B2C and B2B websites integrated with Dynamics to our customers. So these guys will help us discover the opportunities that technology gives us nowadays to get ourselves prepared for what's next. Last but not least, before entering into the subject matter presentations, I would like to thank you, all of you guys, for being our customers, and especially to extend words of gratitude for those new customers that trusted us in 2020, and also to express our gratitude to all our existing customers that trusted us to launch new projects with us in 2020 in these times of hardship. So we really appreciate you being our customers, and we are very glad to welcome you with us today and to keep looking together at what a future can be for us. So without further ado, I'm entering into the first topic for today, and it is the concept of extensions as a new way of creating add-ons and providing customizations in the Microsoft Dynamics ERP systems. Most of you have already gone through a process of implementation, so you know that actually an implementation is typically an implementation of a set of standard features plus some customizations done during the process of implementation itself. Then, when the time passes, every now and then new needs pop up, and we add other customizations to these existing ones, and so on and so forth. So we keep on adding and adding. So in general, during the life cycle of an ERP implementation, there is a trend for a constant growth of the volume of customizations, right? So at a certain point, when you reach to a decision to upgrade, let's say, your existing solution, even though certain customization will be retired, there is typically still a pretty large body of customizations that need to be considered for upgrade. And the upgrade of these customizations requires effort, and effort equals cost for you. And it also equals stress for organization, where you have to migrate all those specific things into the new version and to go live with the new system. Until now, these customizations were implemented as merged code, and now Microsoft introduced the concept of implementing them as extensions. And I'll try to explain in a kind of metaphorical way for non-programmers what the difference is, and what are the benefits of this new approach. So let's talk about merge code and what it is. So imagine that a source code of a program is a text that explains how it should function, just like in this example. There are buttons. When the first button is pressed by user with authorization for processing this transaction, a view of print format A is displayed in screen. So oversimplified, but let's assume that it is something like that. So to customize this, we normally merge additional code that changes the functionality, just like in this example where we actually edit that when processing this transaction, a record in the account is automatically posted, and also print form is not only displayed in screen but automatically printed on the set printer, right? So imagine that meanwhile Microsoft introduces a change in the standard version of the code, adding something as simple as a dialog box pops up and asks for confirmation if the user confirms, then a view of print form A is displayed in screen. So there is one additional step added here for one reason or another. If you just put the additional code associated with the customization and you merge it at the exact same place, then you get something like that. And if you read it carefully, it makes actually no sense. So to get a proper behavior with the same type of customization over the new version of the standard code, you need to rework it a bit. So you need to pay attention and basically go one customization by another to adapt it to what has changed in the new version of the standard code. Otherwise, it totally makes no sense. So this was the way customizations were done in general in the older versions of the Microsoft Dynamics systems, and this was the reason why it took a lot of time to migrate these customizations to a new version. So talking about extensions now, if we go through the same example, an extension means that you actually don't touch the standard code. So instead of merging things here and there in the sentence, we actually put a reference node, and with a bit of a different description, we say the same thing as something that is linked to the standard code but does not really affect the standard code itself. So as in this example, we are having an end node that tells the same thing, that when such a transaction is processed, a record into accounting is automatically generated and print form A is automatically sent to the printer to be printed. And what happens if Microsoft decides to change the standard code the same way? Well, as you can see in this oversimplified example, it still makes sense because actually the change of the standard code and our customization don't really interfere. So thanks to this approach, the way to do customizations in the new version is like comparing a change or additional text in a classical encyclopedia to creating a new reference page with additional details associated to a term on Wikipedia. And this has a lot of benefits because basically it allows Microsoft to manage the standard core of the system and all these extensions to coexist so that when Microsoft changes something into the standard version, it does not really require redoing all extensions or all customizations. This brings a lot of benefits. The first thing is, of course, smooth upgrades. It means less stress in the organization because those of you who already have gone through an upgrade project know that actually it is not as stressful as the initial implementation for the organization, but it still can be a very complex project with a lot of stress. And last but not least, it means less effort, which equals lower cost. So these are, I would say, quite important benefits. However, there is a dark side. And the dark side is that in order to start benefiting from all those things, you have to move to extensions first. And moving to extensions is a investment for a company. Whether this investment worth, well, we of course will try to argue that it's worth doing that, especially in the long run. But apart from these practical benefits that we listed, there is something more strategic that worth to be mentioned. And it is actually the fact that you will keep on using always the latest version of the software. So we'll be always up to date, and you will basically keep in step with the novelties. And remember, keeping in step with the novelties was the most simple thing to do in order to adapt, so not to go there. So think about it, and thank for your attention. After this short, I would say, introduction to the concept of extensions and what is their impact on the way we do upgrades and customizations, I'm pleased to pass the floor to Sami, who will go ahead and tell us about the capabilities of the preset Power BI dashboards.
Thank you, Delian. So, as we were speaking so far, while the extensions do give us some more flexibility, and in the long term will give us the option to have easier upgrades in the future, it's also true that technically they require a little bit more planning, better design, and depending on how complex the customization is, it might essentially take a little bit more effort. So overall, what both Microsoft and us as a partner are aiming to do, and we have been doing this for years to be realistic, we're trying to pre-package our existing know-how, so basically we can take the opportunity to step on top and expand on our existing knowledge and experience from previous customers rather than having to customize everything from scratch. So one of the areas where this is helpful is we have had quite a few projects in BI, both in Power BI and the other various platforms we've used over the years. And one of the main things we have seen is that probably the biggest problem in transferring from a classical reporting system to a BI solution is changing your concept of how the report should be designed. And actually maybe even the more basic question on, so what exactly should be a BI report? So usually what we find as probably the biggest challenge when working with our customers is, and I'm sure those of you who have already had BI projects or who have attempted BI projects have seen this as, okay, so how do you use Power BI? How do we use a BI solution as a whole? What kind of dashboards do we want to build? And hopefully you see my screen in a few seconds. I just want to show you some examples of what dashboards and what reports can be made available, and then talk about how this can actually happen a lot easier. Before I jump into details, I just want to take this opportunity to encourage all of you. There is a question functionality in Teams, so feel free if there's anything during this presentation that you would like to know in a little bit more detail. You can write some questions and we can use them in the Q&A session in the end. If there's something that we don't answer with the presentation itself. So now that I see you can see my screen, I'm sure all of you would appreciate it. It's kind of nice to be able to just log into a website or use the app on the mobile phone or a tablet or whatever, and just immediately have an overview similar to what I have. Immediately know that for the last 24 months, this is my net sales, and this is the number of documents that my company has issued, with the average total invoice quantity, discounts, and some gross profit calculations. It might even be nice to be able to compare similar parameters, but see how I've done over the years and compare year-to-year growth, hopefully, or at least find trends, and then be able to dig in, as I'm sure all of you are familiar and for example, see, okay, so I can see that EU is doing a little bit less than non-EU. So let's check just EU specifically year-to-year indexes and what are the trends, and just click a button and be able to see this information as a type of drill down. It's great, right? But obviously the question is, so well, which one of these do I want, and how do we design them? And then of course the bigger question, so how long does it take? How much does it cost to develop? You're aware that depending on how the project is designed, it can take anywhere between a couple of days or weeks up to a couple of months to end up with the dashboards I'm showing you right now. Of course, as well, if you don't have experience in how to design these, then maybe, you know, you've seen maps, but does it make sense, and what type of map do I want to see? And you know, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of details, and how do I want to position and how do I want to design my BI solution? Because having the right BI solution can, versus having the wrong one, can be the difference between spending a lot of money and being enabled through a very powerful tool, literally at your fingertips, to be able to click and get reports in next to real time. And just imagine how much better a meeting with your partners, whether it's a potential new supplier or a potential new customer, and you can just show them where is your business, how big is your business, and how much better they would be when they work with you. So that would be great if we can do it quickly, but again, as I said, it's very often difficult, especially if the only types of reports you've seen so far are the old charts in Excel spreadsheets that we've shown. You know, these are great, but if you have way too much information and if you need 25 columns just to be sure that you have all the data, because you know that it takes 2 days to generate the report, and even if you have NAV, sometimes even if it takes like half an hour to generate it, then you want to be sure you have all the possible answers to all the possible questions. And then transitioning from this to this, it takes some time, takes some imagining, takes some experience. So both us and our partner, BI for Dynamics, actually found out some time ago that, you know what, maybe it's easier to change something that's already there and start using something and then add small incremental changes versus building it from scratch. So essentially everything that I've been showing you so far and clicking through these dashboards are a purely standard out of the box, essentially plug and play solution, which is installed. Obviously it takes a little bit longer than just plugging a USB flash drive, but can be installed in just a couple of days of setups. And this can work with any out of the box implementation of Business Central or NAV or Finance and Operation or AX. And the core reason why it works is because these are all reports which rely on having all the standard data sources. Now, if you think about it, whenever we do customizations for any implementation, and if you think about what we've done for you in our project, usually more than 80%, I would say sometimes more than 95% of the customizations we do not create a new type of data. They rather change how exactly we generate the data in the system. We make it easier, we make it faster, we make it less redundant, not having to enter the same thing twice. We reduce the amount of errors by adding extra controls and validations, making sure that only the right people can enter the data and that it's configured in the right way. But at the core of it, the data itself is the same data. We always generate item ledger entries for the transactions in the warehouse. We always generate general ledger entries for the finance transactions, and customer ledger entries for customers, and vendor ledger entries for vendors, and so on and so forth. And sure, we add some custom fields on top to the ones which are already there, but everything you see right here is still there. We don't actually remove anything from the out-of-the-box functionality. We add on top of it, we make it better, we make it easier, and so on. So actually all of the reports that you're seeing rely on the standard out-of-the-box fields and functionalities which come from Microsoft. So essentially the deployment of those dashboards that you're seeing encompasses just plugging in the solution, doing some installation and some initial setup, but nothing even remotely resembling the actual full-fledged BI project implementation, and then you just get the reports. And what's more is I've been showing you some sales reports, but actually what we have here is a bunch of different, you can think of them as cubes, as they used to be called, which can analyze sales, receivables, purchases, payables, project management, manufacturing, fixed assets, you name it. So, okay, something went wrong with this one. So essentially, any module in the system can be analyzed in quite big details. So this is basically what we're talking about, an implementation of the project where essentially we just come in, we set up the add-on, we put it in your database, and within several days you're able to immediately get access to all of these reports. Which then, of course, we are capable to modify in various aspects. So we can, of course, bring in extra filters. We can change the specific visual. So if you prefer this one to be more of a bar chart rather than that trend you were looking at, or indeed, if you prefer the map visualization, or if you still would like to have some more classic pivot tables or spreadsheets, that's something that can be customized. And obviously we can bring in all the extra data units which we have in your database, like the custom fields we created, the new dimensions, and so on and so forth. But you get what I'm showing you right now exactly right out of the box. So I would like to take the chance to show the website of our partner, BI for Dynamics. So this is something that can be accessible to all of you. So if you go there now, you can open exactly what I'm looking at. And under the Power BI menu here, you can actually see some of the other dashboards. So actually the demo that I was showing you just now, which is hosted on our server, is accessible also here. So what you see is essentially Power BI within the website, and these are all fully filterable data, and the only difference is that of course you click here to go to the next screen, whereas I was clicking on the site. So I would encourage you, if you're interested, you can go to the website and check. There are several more dashboards than the one I showed. There is more details here if you check under BCNAV application areas or finance and operation application areas. These actually take you to the various screens with some screenshots and explain a little bit more what are the various modules that can be implemented. There's some helpful video files as well. But yeah, that's basically it. I would say a revolutionary tool which essentially allows you to have a plug-and-play BI, which within a couple of days of implementation, you can immediately have access to your data, and then after you've taken the time to get used to these reports, then based on the knowledge of what's available, start customizing and asking us to expand on top of that. And I'll be happy to take any questions later in the Q&A session. So that was it from me for now, and I would like to hand over the ball to my colleague Dani to show us what's going on in the web areas.
Thank you, Sami. Thank you for the great demo. Actually, I've always been amused by how powerful those tools are. So, but now, hi everyone. I'm sharing my screen now, so I hope you're gonna see it in a while. And I want to thank you for joining us today. And now I'm gonna switch the topic to another really hot topic, considering the situation that we are living in today, and those are sales, and particularly online sales. So let me start with a brief recap of my 2020. So the year started just like any other year, and I was going out with friends, meeting them at restaurants and bars, making plans with them for traveling abroad, But suddenly everything changed and all plans were cancelled, and I had the possibility to see my friends only via internet. And the worst part of it was probably that the economy was on a downturn and many businesses were downsizing or even shutting down. And for that reason, I just stopped spending money, or I tried to spend as little as possible. But with the progress of time, staying home, I get bored. So what I did was to just start purchasing some items like electronics, kitchen appliances, so I may cook my own meals and stuff like that. And now when I'm going through articles about retail and sales on global scale, I actually can consider myself as a regular buyer of 2020. Because except for sanitizing and healthcare products, people spend money on electronics, yes, small electronics, kitchen appliances, home workout stuff, toys, just to keep themselves busy at home after working hours. And this was on the expense on apparel, because actually no one needed that much clothes for casual clothes or formal clothing or whatever. And other astonishing things that you can find actually on the internet now are some data about retail sales in the US, for example. According to Adobe Analytics, on this Thanksgiving Day, online sales were up by 21.5% compared to last year. And something similar happened to last week's Black Friday and this week's Cyber Monday. Both increased between 29 and 38% compared to last year. And for some of the websites, the traffic was so huge that actually they had to introduce queues before customers can browse the content or even place an order. Yeah. And as a consequence of that, the National Retail Federation projects that this year total holiday season sales will end up with an increase of 3.6 to 5.2% on year-on-year basis, and this is rather high number compared to the last 5 years average of 3.5%. And other thing is that all those retail sales will be now made on online and store as well, yes, but online sales will be up by 30%. So people just didn't stop buying stuff. They just are changing their behavior now, and things are moving slowly to an improvement. And to sum up the situation with retail, let me share a quote of the chief economist of the National Retail Federation, who says that given the pandemic, there is an uncertainty about consumers' willingness to spend, but with the economy improving, most have the ability to do so. And after he continues that with spending on travel and entertainment sidelined, consumers have more money to spend on other items. But now let's now have a preview of the attitude of the business-to-business parties in the whole situation. And here is some stats from a report from McKinsey and Company back from April, actually in the beginning of the COVID crisis, which says that businesses believe that their customers were more willing to use digital sales channels than traditional ones. And compared to the pre-COVID times that you see on your left, there is a huge improvement, huge change, because in pre-COVID times, people preferred actually traditional sales channels. And in a more recent study of McKinsey and Company from October, actually 75% of businesses on global scale believe that the new sales approach is as effective as before or even more effective. And this is a change with 10% compared to the numbers back in April. And what actually we did to help US customers cope with this situation? Well, we introduced a unified integration framework And this framework actually connects Microsoft Dynamics ERP and LS Retail with the e-commerce platform Nopcommerce. And the data that is synced with this integration framework is related to items, their stock levels, prices, customers' orders, actually everything that is needed for a B2C scenario. Yeah, but we also have B2B customers as well. Yep, right. So we introduced some B2B functionalities as well, like user management from the ERP, specific prices and discounts, product catalogs, credit limits, on-credit payment, and many more. But those enhancements, actually that he introduced, those developments enhance the standard functionality of Nopcommerce, which is rather rich and is comparable to any other powerful and decent e-commerce platform out there. Because it includes mobile commerce, for example, which is actually responsive design, and it is pretty important those days because 40% of all online sales are placed via smartphones. There is also multi-store functionality, which allows you actually to have a single Nopcommerce installation and manage many domains, many websites with it. So you can have one installation of Nopcommerce and at the same time have a website for one of your brands and another website for other of your brands or products, and so on. Other interesting and important stuff here are also the SEO features that help you rank better in Google non-paid search results, integration with payment and shipment methods, and so on. But the question here is probably why did we choose actually to partner with Nopcommerce? And there are many reasons for that. The first one is that it's an open source platform, which actually allows us to make almost any customization that you require. The second reason is that it's an SAP.NET platform, which actually facilitates the communication between Dynamics ERP and Business Central in particular with the Nopcommerce solution, because they almost speak the same language, let's say that way. The other thing is that being a .NET based platform, Nopcommerce is really secure and scalable because it follows enterprise standards. The solution also does not require a license to be used. So every one of you just can go to the Nopcommerce website, download the solution and use it as a standalone shop with just out of the box. The other important reason is that there are plenty of deployment options. Nopcommerce runs both on Microsoft SQL and MySQL, so it allows you actually to run it on Azure or other public and private clouds, or even as an on-prem installation next to your ERP solution. And last but not least, there are predefined themes or graphic designs that you just can download from the internet, install it, and have your eShop running. And this is pretty important because, as you know, design services consume a lot of time and resources. So if you don't have an eShop or B2B portal, you can consider Nopcommerce as an option. But the main point here is that if you don't have online presence, you should do that fast and be there right away, because we are having internet sales for like 20 years now, right? And every year the percentage of online sales is increasing compared to all the sales made. But in time of COVID, things are accelerating up. So times are changing and everything will be changed. And as the Technology and Logistics Director of the United Nations Conference for Trade and Development says, the current changes in consumer and business behavior will have lasting effects when the world economy starts to pick up again. So people just start thinking about this. If you're not online, get there soon or as soon as possible. So I'm running out of time, and I'd like to say thank you for your attention, and please send us your questions either here on the Q&A session chat or drop me a line, and I'll be glad to discuss the opportunities that the solution provides. And now I would like to give the word back to Delan for closing speech, and have a great day for me. Thank you.
So I really wanted to just say that we appreciate your time and your presence today. And I'm only a bit upset that we see no questions asked, which could mean that it's either super clear or nothing is clear. And I hope for the first. We are sure that you may have questions later on, and I want to ensure that we all remain available for you. So if you decide to think over these topics or request additional information, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be happy to get into more details around these topics.
Hi, Delan, sorry to interrupt, but we just got 2 questions, probably. Okay. Kali, could you tell us the questions?
Sure, just a quick introduction. My name is Kalina. I'm part of the marketing team at Intelligent Systems, and I will be facilitating the Q&A session. Our first question is, our implementation is not with extensions. Is it hard to upgrade and convert to extensions? I think this question is for Delan.
Yeah, so it really depends on the exact version and what kind of customizations are made, and also what is the volume of the customizations. But in general, it is somewhat harder to convert non-extensions to extensions. And once you do that, then you get into the smooth and easy process that we were talking about. But the first step, I would say, is a bit harder, and it should be considered as an investment.
Okay, thank you, Delan. Our next question is for Sami. It is on the website of BI4 Dynamics. There is not mentioned manufacturing. Is there a predefined dashboard for manufacturing, Sami?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It depends which area you're looking at. On the website, actually, there's 2 lists. One is under the Power BI section, and there indeed it only mentions sales, receivables, inventory, finance, purchase, payables, and retail. But if you look under the both AX or finance and operations and NAVBC, you see more modules, and then you have the manufacturing, and also on top of that you have the jobs and resources, and there's also fixed assets, some employee, and even warehouse management. So yeah, there is manufacturing indeed.
Thank you. Our third question is for Danny. Danny, with Nop Commerce, we can easily and quickly get a web shop running. Can we use it for B2B?
Well, the short answer is yes. Yeah, actually, we can easily install our integration framework and connect it to the Nop Commerce platform. And now, depending on the configuration that has to be made, we can have a web shop running in a few weeks. Yeah, because different customers always prefer different ways of showing quantities, for example, their websites, or the warehouses that they use to show quantities and stuff like this. But yes, we can have it for several weeks up and running. And can you use it for B2B scenarios? Yes, you can. Again, here again depends on customers' of the setup for running the store, and of course customizations that have already been made in the WP. So more customization, harder to run, but yeah, takes more time.
All right, thank you. This was our final question. If anyone else has any more questions, now is the time. You can, of course, write us later to ask anything that came up later. And then Alfred said thanks to our presenters. I want to thank them as well. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I was too fast on closing, but obviously there were a few questions, and given that there are no additional questions coming in, it is time to close today's meeting by saying once again, thanks to all of you who joined us today, and we remain available for you in case you have further questions later on. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.